The medical bay was quiet, but not safe. The ship had been damaged during the battle, and the air smelled of smoke and burned wires. Lights flickered weakly above, and the floor shook now and then as if the ship itself was in pain. Commander Ryan stood in the doorway, breathing hard, his uniform torn and dirty. He had fought his way here through broken halls and falling sparks, searching for survivors. On the table in front of him lay a girl. Not human, but alien. Her skin was pale silver, glowing faintly in the weak light, and her hair fell across her face like strands of night. She looked young, maybe close to his own age. Though it was hard to guess with alien features, her chest rose and fell unevenly, showing. She was alive, but only just. She was shivering, her thin clothing torn in the fight, and her wide golden eyes stared at him with fear. Ryan froze for a moment, unsure. He had seen many alien soldiers before, but never one like her. She was not armed.
A fighter.
More like someone caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. She tried to push herself up, but her arms gave way, and she collapsed back onto the table. Gasping in pain, Ryan stepped closer, slowly, hands open to show he meant no harm. He reached to the side and found a clean towel. Folded and forgotten among the medical supplies, he picked it up, simple and ordinary, and held it out to her. "Here," he said quietly. "Take this." The alien girl's eyes widened at once. She did not move, as if the towel was a weapon instead of a gift. Her breathing grew faster, and she shook her head weakly. Ryan frowned, confused. "It's just a towel." He said, "You're cold. Cover yourself still." She would not touch it. Her hands trembled in the air, then fell back. Her lips moved, whispering something in her own tongue. But the translator on his belt could not keep up. The device spat out broken words, fragments. Nothing that made sense, but her tone carried disbelief, shock, even fear. Ryan felt his pulse quicken. Why would such a small act frighten her? He knelt by the table and gently placed the towel near her hand. Not on her, but close enough. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, with a trembling motion, she reached out and touched the fabric. The instant her fingers brushed it, she gasped as if struck by lightning. Her golden eyes filled with something strange fear mixed with awe. Slowly, painfully, she drew the towel close and pulled it over her shoulders. Her thin frame disappeared under the simple cloth, but her hands clutched it as if it were priceless treasure. She whispered again, louder this time, and now the translator caught part of it. "Protector. OATH. Life bond." The machine stuttered in broken English. Ryan's brows knit. "What?" he asked, but the girl only stared at him, her expression both terrified and thankful. He had no idea what he had just done. To him, it was kindness. A simple human thing, but to her, it seemed to mean something far greater. Her eyes never left, his face shining with both fear and hope. Finally, in a broken voice, she spoke through the translator. "You gave cover. You, my protector now." Ryan's heart skipped a beat. Protector? What was she talking about before he could ask? The ship trembled violently, throwing sparks from the ceiling. A deep alarm echoed through the walls, warning of another attack. But the girl clung to the towel, holding it like a sacred shield. Her golden eyes stayed locked on him, filled with meaning he could not yet understand. Ryan felt a chill down his spine. He had offered nothing more than a towel, but somehow, in that moment, it stepped into something larger than himself, something he was not ready for. And the alien girl, fragile but unbroken, whispered again, "Protector." The word hung in the air, heavy and strange. Ryan had no idea why such a small gesture carried such weight, but deep inside, he knew. This was only the beginning. The ships. Alarms faded into silence, leaving only the low hum of damaged engines. Smoke curled through the broken vents. and the medical bay flickered with dying lights. Commander Ryan stood still. His eyes locked on the alien girl. She sat up weakly, the towel wrapped tightly around her shoulders. Her silver skin glowing faintly beneath it. Her golden eyes stared at him with a mix of fear, awe, and something he could not name. She whispered again. Her lips barely moving, the translator struggled, clicking and buzzing, before finally producing broken words. You offered cover. You bind to me. Her voice was soft, but the weight of it pressed into Ryan's chest like a stone. He frowned, shaking his head. I don't understand, he said. It was only a towel. But the girl shook her head violently, strands of her dark hair falling. Across her face, her hands clutched the towel, as if letting go would kill her. No, she whispered, her voice trembling. To cover one is to claim one. It is law, it is oath. Ryan's heartbeat quickened. What had he done to her? His small act of kindness was no small thing. He had stepped into her culture's deepest vow without even knowing, and now she looked at him. As if he were something far greater than he was, the bay door slid open with a hiss. 2 alien crew members rushed in, their faces sharp and angular. Their armor scarred from the battle. They froze at the sight before them, the girl wrapped in a human's towel, sitting close to him. Their eyes widened, and their bodies stiffened. One dropped his weapon to the floor with a clatter, bowing. His head low, the other pressed a hand to his chest and spoke quickly in their language. The translator clicked again, spilling words in a broken stream. He has chosen her. He is protector. He cannot turn back. Ryan felt a chill. The 2 warriors were not angry, not hostile. Instead, they looked at him with something like respect, maybe even reverence, and that frightened him more than anger would have. What's going on? He demanded. But the alien girl only whispered, her eyes locked on his. You have taken my honor and my life into your hands. He wanted to laugh, to shake his head and tell them it was nonsense. But the way they all looked at him told him this was no joke. The towel was no simple gift in their eyes. It was a vow, a promise of protection that could never be broken. The girl straightened slowly, though her body was weak. She pressed her hand over her heart and bowed her head toward him. Protector, she said again, her voice steadier now. From this moment, I am bound. Ryan swallowed hard. He had never asked for this, never wanted such a title. But the eyes of the alien girl and her people told him that his choice no longer mattered. He had been pulled into something ancient, something sacred. The 2 alien crew members whispered among themselves, their voices low but urgent. The translator caught fragments. Prophecy. The one who covers. The one who protects. The one who stands between worlds. Ryan's mind spun. He wanted to deny it, to throw the towel away and walk out. But when he looked at the girl, still clutching it to her chest, he knew he could not. Not because of prophecy, not because of law, but because she looked at him with such fragile trust. The kind of trust that demanded an answer. The ship groaned around them. A reminder that danger was not gone outside the hull. Enemy raiders might still be waiting, but in this moment, the greater weight was not the battle. It was the bond he had created without meaning to. A bond that tied him to her people, to their survival, and perhaps to their future. Ryan rubbed his temples, breathing out slowly. He had offered her a towel, nothing more. But now, he was no longer just Commander Ryan. To them, he was protector. A title he did not understand, but one that would not let him go. The alien girl's golden eyes softened. And for the first time, she smiled faintly. It was not joy, but something heavier, fragile relief. You will not leave, she said. You cannot. Not now. Ryan's stomach tightened. She was right. He could not walk away from this, even if he wanted to, and deep inside, A part of him already knew. This bond, this vow, would lead him to places he could not yet imagine, and danger. Greater than anything he had faced before was waiting in the dark beyond the stars. The medical bay felt heavier with every breath. The alien girl sat close to Ryan. Wrapped in the towel, her golden eyes never leaving him, the two alien soldiers still stood near the door. Silent but tense, their armor gleaming faintly in the weak light. The air carried something thick, something unspoken, as if every word could change everything. Ryan rubbed the back of his neck, uncomfortable under their stares. "I don't get it," he muttered. "I gave her a towel, nothing more. But—" The soldiers lowered their heads again, and one spoke in their harsh tongue. The translator clicked and sputtered. "You gave her cover. You gave her bond. You gave her your honor," the girl whispered softly. "Protect her," and the word sent a chill down Ryan's spine. He could not fight the truth, whatever this was. It meant more to them than he could understand. More aliens entered the bay, drawn by whispers that had spread through the ship. Some wore the same battered armor, others robes with faint glowing patterns. Each one, when they saw the towel, froze, their eyes widened, and their voices dropped to hushed tones. Soon the room filled with murmurs, the translator failing to catch most of them, but one word repeated again and again: "Protector. Protector." Ryan felt the walls closing in. He had never liked the weight of attention. He was a soldier, yes, but only one among many. Now dozens of alien eyes looked at him as if he were something more. Something sacred. The alien girl lifted her chin. Slightly, her voice stronger now, she turned to the others and spoke in her native tongue. Her words carried pride and certainty, and though Ryan could not understand, he felt the shift in the room. The murmurs grew softer, almost reverent. The translator buzzed to life, catching fragments. "He is mine. Bound by law, sworn by cover. He cannot be broken." Ryan's jaw tightened. He wanted to shout, to tell them this was madness. But something stopped him. The girl looked at him not as a stranger, not even as a rescuer. She looked at him as if he had already chosen her fate and his own. Her pride was in that look, her fear too, and Ryan could not bring himself to break it. He sighed, turning away. Humans did not believe in vows made by accident, but he was starting to see that. To them, there were no accidents. Every gesture meant something. Every action carried weight, and his small act of kindness had become an anchor. Pulling him deeper, one of the robed aliens stepped forward. Bowing low, "You must know," the translator echoed. "This vow. It was once only of our kings and champions. To offer cover was to give life, to give warmth, to give protection." The alien raised his head slowly, eyes glowing faint. "You have done what no outsider has ever done." Ryan's stomach twisted. He had not meant to claim anything. Not honor, not power, not a life. Yet now, alien warriors treated him like a ruler. The girl treated him like her shield. And whispers of prophecy followed him like shadows. The girl touched his arm gently, her voice soft. "You gave me warmth when I had none." She said, "You gave me honor when mine was broken." Her golden eyes glistened as she whispered. "This cannot be undone." Ryan's chest tightened. Human warmth, simple kindness was nothing strange to him. But here, in this ship, it was more than warmth, it was fire. It burned through the walls of culture and pride. It reshaped their beliefs, whether he wanted it or not. Yet not everyone was pleased at the back of the bay. A tall alien warrior clenched his fists. His voice was sharp, filled with anger. "He is not one of us. He cannot be protector." The translator caught every word this time. Human warmth is weakness, not strength. He will fail her. He will fail us all. The girl stood, though her legs shook. She pulled the towel tighter around herself and faced the warrior with unbroken pride. "You are wrong," she said, her voice clear. "He gave without demand. He gave without command. That is why he is protector. That is why he will not fail." The room went silent. The warrior's eyes burned, but he did not answer. Instead, he turned and stormed out. His footsteps heavy with anger. Others whispered nervously, fear mixing with belief. Some looked at Ryan with hope, others with doubt. But all saw him differently now, not as an outsider, but as a force that could shape their future. Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deep. He had never wanted any of this, but he could not deny it anymore. His human warmth had clashed with alien pride, and somehow it had created something new, something dangerous, something powerful. The girl leaned against him, weak but unbroken. Her voice was soft, but every word carried weight. "You cannot turn away now." "Protector," she said. "Our people will follow, or they will fight. But either way, your choice will change everything." Ryan looked around the room, at the stares of dozens of aliens. Some full of reverence, some of suspicion. The towel still rested on the girl's shoulders, glowing faintly under the dim lights, and he realized with a heavy heart that he was no longer just a commander in a broken war. He was something else entirely, a symbol of humanity's warmth, and the spark that could unite or destroy an alien people. The silence in the medical bay broke when the ship shuddered violently. A deep alarm howled through the halls. Red lights flashed across the ceiling, and the air shook with the sound of distant explosions. Enemy raiders had returned, and this time their attack was stronger. Ryan braced himself against the wall as sparks rained down from broken panels. The alien crew shouted orders in their own language. Rushing to battle stations, the girl clutched the towel close to her chest, her golden eyes never leaving Ryan. She was weak, barely able to stand. Yet she moved toward him as if no force could pull her away. "You must stay," Ryan said firmly, guiding her back toward the bed, but she shook her head, stubborn, her voice trembling yet strong. "No, protector. Where you go, I go. My life is tied to yours now." Ryan's jaw tightened. He had faced soldiers, machines, and death before, but this was different. The weight of a vow he did not choose pressed down on him. He could not fight for himself alone anymore. Now her fate, maybe even her people's, was bound to his actions. The bay doors slid open again, and the tall alien warrior who had challenged him earlier stormed back in. His eyes burned with fury, but also with fear. "The enemy is boarding," he growled through the translator. "They come for her, they come for the bond. If she falls, all of us fall." Ryan's heart pounded. He understood now. The raiders were not just after victory, they were after something more. They knew what the girl meant, what the vow meant. And if they destroyed her, wore him, the symbol of protector would be broken before it had even begun. The ship rocked again as heavy impacts shook the hull. Voices screamed through the comm systems. Weapons fire echoed in the distance. Ryan grabbed a discarded blaster rifle from the floor and checked its charge. The alien warrior sneered but said nothing, only, gripping his own blade tighter, the girl stepped forward. Her legs unsteady, but her gaze unshaken. She whispered, "I will not hide, not when you fight." Ryan turned to her, his voice sharp. "You're in no condition to fight. You'll die out there." But she only held the towel closer, shaking her head. "In my people's law, to be covered is to share fate. If you fall, I fall. If you stand, I stand." Before he could argue again, the bay doors exploded inward. Smoke and fire burst through the gap as enemy raiders stormed inside. Their armor jagged, their weapons glowing red. Their leader, a massive brute with burning eyes, pointed straight at the girl. "There, take her," he roared. Ryan didn't think. He moved. The blaster hummed in his hands as he fired. Bolts of blue light tearing through the smoke. Aliens fell. Others pushed forward, their claws scraping against metal. The tall alien warrior fought at Ryan's side, blades flashing, their movements sharp and deadly. But still, more poured in, the fight pressing closer. The girl stood behind Ryan, her hands trembling, her golden eyes glowing brighter than before. Something strange flickered around her. A faint shimmer of energy, she whispered in her tongue. Words the translator could not catch. The air around Ryan thickened. And suddenly, his blaster shots grew sharper, faster, striking true with impossible precision. He realized with shock that her energy flowed into him, guiding him, amplifying him. She was not fighting alone. She was fighting through him. Every time he moved, her glow pulsed. Every time he fired, her whisper rose. Together, they became more than human or alien. They became something greater. The raiders faltered, fear flashing across their faces. The brute leader roared, charging forward. With a massive blade, Ryan braced himself. But the girl's hand touched his shoulder. A surge of strength poured through him, and his body moved faster than he thought possible. He dodged the strike, countered, and drove the blaster's butt into the brute's chest. Sending him stumbling back, the alien crew in the bay rallied, shouting war cries, pushing the raiders. Out step by step, the tall warrior glanced at Ryan with shock, his eyes no longer filled with doubt, but with respect. Still, the brute rose again, his weapon burning with fury. He roared, "This bond will not save you. Human, it will be your death." Ryan stood his ground, his breath heavy, his muscles burning. The girl's glow flared brighter, surrounding them both. Her voice, steady and unbroken, cut through the chaos. "No, it is his strength and our salvation." With one final surge, Ryan fired, the blast striking the brute square in the chest. The enemy leader fell, his weapon clattering to the ground. The remaining raiders froze, then fled back through the smoke. Silence followed, broken only by the crackle of fire and the pounding of Ryan's heartbeat. The girl's glow faded, and she collapsed against him. Weak but alive, he caught her, lowering her gently to the floor. Her golden eyes fluttered open, and she whispered, "Protector, we fought as one. Now they will see. Now they will believe." Ryan looked around the ruined bay, at the alien crew staring at him with awe. He had never asked for this, but now he was not just a soldier, not just a survivor. He was something more, and the galaxy would not forget the moment when a human and an alien girl stood together, wrapped in nothing but a towel and a vow, and turned the tide of battle. The battle in the medical bay ended, but the war was not over. The enemy raiders had been pushed back, yet the ship still trembled under heavy fire. Outside, the stars flashed with deadly light as more enemy ships closed in. Ryan stood over the fallen brute, his blaster still hot in his hands, his chest heaving with every breath. The alien girl leaned against him, the towel wrapped tight around her, her glow dim but steady. The alien crew whispered among themselves, their eyes full of awe and fear. They had seen what happened, how the girl's energy had flowed into Ryan, how his strength had grown beyond human limits. Some bowed their heads, others made signs across their chests, but all looked at him as if he was no longer just a man. He was something more, something dangerous, something chosen. The tall warrior approached slowly, his blade dripping with the blood of raiders. He bowed his head low. "Protector," the translator said, "the battle is not done. The enemy prepares to breach again, and only you can stand between us and death." Ryan wanted to argue, to say he was just a soldier, not a savior, but the girl's hand touched his arm, her golden eyes locking with his. "You cannot deny it now," she whispered. "They saw, they felt, the bond is real. The ship shook violently. Throwing sparks from the ceiling, a voice crackled through the comes filled with panic. They are breaking through the outer hull. Multiple boarding parties incoming. They will overwhelm us. Ryan's grip tightened on his blaster. He knew they couldn't hold much longer with weapons alone, but when he looked at the girl, weak yet unbroken, he realized their true weapon was not steel or fire. It was the bond they shared. "Can you do it again?" he asked quietly. Her smile was faint, but her voice was steady. "Yes, but more, if you let me." Her hands trembled as she pressed them against his chest. "Through you, I can be strong. Through you, I can fight." Ryan closed his eyes for a moment, breathing deep. He had always fought alone, by skill, by training, by instinct. But now, he would fight not alone, but as two. "All right," he whispered. "We do this together." The doors at the far end of the bay exploded as raiders poured in again. Larger numbers this time, their weapons blazed. Their war cries filled the air. Ryan stepped forward, the girl's glow wrapping around him like living fire. Every step felt lighter, every breath sharper, every movement faster, the blaster in. His hands hummed with power, but now his aim was perfect, guided by unseen hands. He moved like a storm, firing with precision that no human could match. Every shot found its mark. Every strike sent enemies crashing down. The alien crew fought beside him, emboldened by his strength, but even they slowed. Pausing to stare at the impossible sight, a human and an alien girl moving as one, unstoppable. Together, the raider leader, a new brute larger than the first, pushed forward with a massive weapon. His armor burned with red energy, and his voice boomed through the bay. "You cannot stop us, human. Your bond is weakness. Your heart is weakness." Ryan met him head-on, the girl's glow flaring so bright it filled the room. Their power surged together, human courage fused with alien spirit. The brute swung his blade down with crushing force, but Ryan moved faster, his arms guided by her will. He blocked, twisted, and struck back, the clash shaking the floor beneath. Then the brute roared and pressed harder. But with every strike, Ryan grew stronger, the girl whispering in his mind, "Do not fear. I am with you." The towel around her shoulders glowed faintly, as if the simple fabric itself carried the vow. A symbol of warmth turned into a shield against darkness. At last, Ryan broke through the brute's defense. He drove his blaster's energy blade deep into the enemy's chest. The brute screamed, a sound of rage and disbelief. Before collapsing to the ground, the other raiders froze. Their courage shattered. They turned and fled, their screams fading into the smoke. Silence filled the bay, broken only by the crackle of fire. Ryan stood tall, his chest heaving, the girl still glowing faintly beside him. The alien crew dropped to one knee, their voices rising together in a single word. "Protector, protector." Ryan shook his head, overwhelmed. "I didn't do this alone," he said. He looked at the girl, her golden eyes shining softly. "She did this. We did this together." She smiled faintly, her voice no more than a whisper. "Now you see why your kind is feared," she said. "Not for your weapons, not for your ships, but for your hearts." Ryan felt the truth in her words. Humanity's strength was not just in battle, but in kindness, in warmth, in the small acts that carried great meaning. A towel, a bond, a promise. Those simple things had turned the tide of war. The ship steadied as enemy fire faded into the distance. The raiders were retreating, their will broken. The crew rose, their eyes shining with renewed hope. They no longer saw Ryan as an outsider, but as one of them, as something greater. The girl leaned against him, exhausted but alive. Her voice was soft, yet carried through the silence. "Protector, this is only the beginning." The stars will test us again and again, but now we are ready. Ryan looked out into the dark void beyond the shattered hull. The galaxy was vast, full of enemies and mysteries. But he knew now that he would not face it alone, and whatever came, he would stand as protector, bound by a vow he never expected, but would never abandon. The ship floated in silence after the battle. Fires had been put out, the alarms had stopped. But the scars of war still glowed on every wall. Hull plates were torn, wires sparked, and bodies both human and alien lay covered in sheets. The survivors moved slowly, their faces heavy with exhaustion. But their eyes carried something new. Hope Ryan stood at the center of the medical bay, his uniform scorched, his hands still trembling from the fight. Beside him, the alien girl leaned against the wall, the towel wrapped firmly around her shoulders, her golden eyes steady despite her weakness. The crew surrounded them, silent, waiting, as if expecting his next words to decide their future. Ryan shook his head slowly, trying to catch his breath. "I'm not your leader," he said, his voice rough. "I didn't ask for this. I didn't even understand what it meant." But the girl raised her hand, her voice soft yet strong. "You did not choose," she whispered. "But the bond chose you." Her words echoed in the room, and the crew bowed their heads. The tall warrior stepped forward, his pride gone, his tone respectful. "Protector," the translator said. "You fought with her light, and with your human heart, the enemy fled. We cannot deny what we saw." Ryan felt the weight of their stares pressing down on him. He wanted to deny it, to walk away, but deep inside he knew he could not. Something had changed the moment he offered her that towel, something that no weapon, no soldier, no law could undo. The girl's eyes softened, and for the first time she smiled fully. "You are part of us now," she said. "You carry our vow, our honor, our future." Ryan's stomach tightened. He was only one man, a soldier used to orders and battles, not prophecies, not destinies. And yet, standing here with her at his side, he felt a strange certainty. This bond was not an accident, it was a path. And he was already walking it. The ship creaked around them, a reminder that danger was never far. On the horizon of stars, enemy ships still prowled. Though distant for now, the galaxy was not safe. Not for them, not for anyone, but the crew stood taller, their spirits lit by the fire of what they had. Witnessed Ryan help the girl sit back onto the bed, though she clutched his hand, refusing to let go. Her golden eyes searched his face as if trying to read his soul. "You understand now?" she said quietly. "This was never only about me. It was about us, my people, my world, all tied to you." Ryan swallowed hard. She was right. This vow had not only bound him to her, it had bound him to her entire race, to a destiny that stretched beyond the walls of this ship. And though he feared it, he also felt something he had not in a long time. Purpose. The tall warrior stepped closer, his voice low. "There will be more battles." The translator echoed. "The raiders will not stop. They seek to end the bond before it grows. But if they fear it, then it is power. And with you, perhaps. We have a chance." Ryan looked around the room at the tired but determined faces. He saw not just survivors, but allies, perhaps even family. Human warmth had reached across their pride, and now it held them together. The girl squeezed his hand, her voice faint but full of promise. "Protector, this was the first test, not the last. The stars will call us again, and you must be ready." Ryan nodded slowly, his eyes lifting toward the shattered hull where the endless void stretched beyond. He knew she was right. This was not the end of the story, only the beginning. The crew began repairs, patching the wounded ship, whispering songs in their strange tongue. But Ryan remained still, standing beside her, his thoughts heavy, He had never believed in destiny, never trusted in prophecies. The ship drifted through the silence of space, patched but still wounded inside. The crew worked in quiet determination, fixing broken panels and sealing cracked walls. Every hand moved with purpose. Not because of orders, but because of belief. They believed now in the vow, in the protector, in the strange human who had stood against the raiders with nothing but a towel and a heart. Ryan sat near the viewing deck, staring into the endless stars. The alien girl rested beside him, her golden eyes glowing faintly. The towel still wrapped around her shoulders like a second skin. She was healing, though her body still trembled from the energy she had poured into him. Yet, even in weakness, she looked unbroken, her gaze steady on the void beyond the glass. "You feel it too," she whispered. Ryan turned, his brow furrowed. "Feel what?" She lifted her chin, her voice soft but certain, the eyes watching from far away. "They know the bond has awakened." Ryan shivered. He had been a soldier long enough to trust instincts, and hers carried a weight that could not be ignored. If others knew, if others felt this bond, then enemies were already moving, perhaps not just raiders, but powers greater than he could imagine. The tall warrior entered, his armor scarred but polished. His tone respectful now. "Protector. Scouts report strange signals at the edge of the system." The translator echoed, "Not raiders, something larger, something older." Ryan stood slowly, his fists tightening. He had wanted rest, time to think. But the galaxy gave no rest. Whatever was coming next, it would not be simple. He looked at the girl, and she nodded. "This is the way of the vow," she whispered. One battle opens the door to another, until the final test is faced. The crew gathered in the central chamber waiting for him. Ryan hesitated, feeling the weight of their stares again. He was no king, no prophet, only a man who had tried to help. Yet now every eye waited for his words, and deep inside, he knew silence would only break their hope. He stepped forward, his voice rough but steady. "We survived because we stood together," he said. "I am not stronger than you, I am not greater than you. But with her, with this bond, we became more. If we keep standing together, we can face whatever comes." The translator carried his words into their tongue, and murmurs spread. Faces that had been tired lifted with sparks of belief. Even those who doubted before bowed their heads. The alien girl touched his arm gently, her smile faint but real. "They hear your heart," she whispered, "and that is why they will follow." Suddenly, the ship rocked as if struck by a giant's hand. Alarms blared, lights flickered, and the hull groaned in pain. Ryan rushed to the viewing deck, and his breath caught in his chest. Outside, a massive shape emerged from the shadows of space. It was not a raider ship, not even close. It was ancient, colossal, covered in glowing lines that pulsed like veins of fire. It dwarfed their wounded vessel, and its presence alone made the air feel heavy. The alien girl's face paled, her golden eyes wide with fear. Her voice broke into a whisper. "No, it cannot be. Not them, not now." Ryan turned sharply. "Who are they?" She shook her head slowly, her lips trembling. "The Watchers of the Vow," she whispered. "They are older than my people, older than this galaxy's wars. They guard the meaning of the oath. And they come only when destiny is near." The ship's comes crackled, and a deep voice filled the chamber. Heavy and cold. "Protector," it said, "you have taken the bond. You have awakened the path. Now you must prove it, or be broken." Ryan's blood ran cold. This was not another raid, not another skirmish. This was a trial, something beyond his training, beyond his understanding. He glanced at the girl, and she gripped his hand tightly. "You cannot turn away, not now." She whispered, "If you do, they will destroy us all." The alien crew fell silent. Their fear thick in the air. They looked at Ryan, not as a soldier, but as the only shield they had. His heart pounded. But he forced his voice steady then. "We face it," he said. "Whatever trial they bring, we face it together." The colossal ship outside shifted, its glowing lines flaring brighter. The stars themselves seemed to bend around it, as if reality bowed to its will. The deep voice spoke again. "Very well, Protector." The trial begins. The viewing deck. Darkened, the stars vanished, and the ship trembled as it was pulled into something vast and unknown. Ryan felt his breath catch. The girl's hand tightening on his. The crew shouted in fear. But there was no escape, no turning back. They had stepped onto a path written long before Ryan's birth, and now, the galaxy itself would test whether humanity's heart could carry the weight of destiny. Ryan stood firm, the towel still wrapped. Around her shoulders, glowing faintly like a banner in the dark. Whatever this trial was, whatever lay ahead, he would not falter. Because he was no longer only a soldier, he was Protector. And the next chapter of his story was just beginning.